Ben Affleck has finally revealed what really ended his marriage to Jennifer Lopez, and his confession is more brutal than anyone expected. This past March, 3 months after their divorce was finalized, Ben sat down for his first interview addressing the end of his marriage. And while he never said the words, "She wasn't who I thought," what he did say painted a devastating picture of a man who married the same woman twice, and both times realized he couldn't handle who she really was. He put it perfectly: you don't marry a ship captain and then say, "Well, I don't like going out in the water." Ben admitted he knew exactly who Jennifer was when he married her, a woman who lived her life publicly, who shared everything, who turned her relationships into content. He knew all that going in, and still thought he could handle it. But he couldn't. And what Ben finally revealed isn't about cheating or betrayal. It's something much more heartbreaking. Realizing the person you love requires things you simply cannot give. After 20 years and 2 failed chances, Ben Affleck is finally telling the truth about what really went wrong. To understand it, you have to go back to how this story began. Ben and Jennifer first met on the set of Jiggly back in 2002. By the end of that year, they were engaged and Bennifer was born, the most photographed couple in Hollywood. But by 2004, the engagement was off. The media attention was insane, and it tore them apart. They spent 17 years living completely different lives. Jennifer married Mark Anthony, had twins, and eventually divorced. Ben married Jennifer Garner, had 3 kids, and also divorced. Then in 2021, after nearly 2 decades apart, they reconnected, older, wiser, and convinced they could make it work this time. By April 2022, Jennifer announced they were engaged again, 20 years after that first proposal. And on July 16, 2022, they married in Las Vegas, followed by a massive Georgia ceremony just 1 month later. For 2 years, they sold the dream. The idea that true love can survive anything, that they'd grown, matured, learned from their mistakes. But on August 20, 2024, exactly 2 years to the day after their Georgia wedding, Jennifer Lopez filed for divorce. When Ben finally broke his silence in March 2025, what he said confirmed everyone's suspicion. They hadn't learned anything. They hadn't changed. They were the same 2 people with the same problems, repeating the same story. In his GQ interview, Ben started carefully. There's no scandal, no soap opera, no intrigue. He said people always want to identify a clear reason when a relationship ends, but the truth is much more ordinary. That's the word he used, quotidian, meaning mundane. Every day, he said their breakup wasn't caused by a single moment. It was about small, normal incompatibilities. But when the interviewer pressed him for specifics, Ben froze. "The reason I don't want to share that," he said, "is that it feels embarrassing. It feels vulnerable." Think about that. Ben Affleck, a man who's publicly talked about his addiction, his depression, his personal failures, said this topic felt too embarrassing to talk about. And that tells you everything. Because what could be more embarrassing than trying the same relationship twice and failing twice? Then Ben dropped the line that explains it all. You don't marry a ship captain and then say, "Well, I don't like going out in the water." He wasn't criticizing Jennifer. He was taking responsibility. He knew exactly who she was, someone who lived publicly, shared her life, and turned her relationships into art. He just thought he could handle it. He thought love would make it work. He was wrong. If you want to see the moment Ben realized he made a mistake, just watch Jennifer's documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told, from early 2024. It was meant to celebrate their rekindled romance, but what it actually captured was a marriage falling apart in real time. Throughout the film, Ben looks visibly uncomfortable. In one scene, Jennifer proudly tells him she's making their love story the center of her art. You can see his face tighten. He smiles politely, but his body language says everything. In another scene, Ben explains he didn't want their relationship on social media. When they first got back together, he warned her, "One of the things I don't want is a relationship online." He thought this time they'd learn to be private. But instead, Jennifer released an album, a documentary, and turned their marriage into a global spectacle. And Ben? He found himself right back where he'd been 20 years earlier, performing a relationship for millions, while quietly dying inside. When he spoke to GQ about that documentary, he tried to be diplomatic. He said, "If I'm going to participate, I want to do it honestly. I think it's an interesting examination." He praised Jennifer, saying she's handled fame far better than he ever could. "My temperament," he said, "is to be more private. Hers is to share more. As happens in relationships, you don't always have the same attitude toward these things." That's his way of saying, "I'm a private person who married a public person, and I couldn't make that work." Ben said he participated in the documentary because he wanted to support her, not because he wanted to be in it. He was trying to be the partner she needed, but he couldn't. And when he said that documentary wasn't the cause of some major fracture, that denial revealed the opposite. Because if it really wasn't the problem, he wouldn't have felt the need to defend it. The truth is simple. Jennifer Lopez needed a partner who would live publicly with her. Ben Affleck needed privacy, and neither could be happy without sacrificing something fundamental about who they are. So imagine being Ben, sitting in front of cameras, trying to look supportive, realizing in real time that nothing's changed, that you're making the same mistake again. That's when he knew. That's when he realized Jennifer wasn't who he thought. Not because she changed, but because he lied to himself. After the divorce, an old interview from 1999 resurfaced. Ben, just 27 years old, told Playboy magazine something haunting. He said that when he becomes unhappy in a relationship, he doesn't leave. He stays quiet. He tries to make it work. He builds what he called passive-aggressive rage. He said, "These relationships never end well. I end up wanting to be out." That's exactly what happened with Jennifer. He stayed. He tried. He smiled through misery. He supported her projects while quietly resenting every minute. By the time he admitted he wanted out, the damage was done. Sources close to Ben told Page 6 something even more revealing, that he's never been able to give himself over completely to anyone, that he always keeps emotional distance. Jennifer Lopez, on the other hand, wanted all-consuming love, total devotion. She wanted a partner who would live in her world, not stand outside it. Ben couldn't do that. He wanted to support her from a distance. He wanted the private version of Jennifer Lopez, the one that doesn't exist. That's not her fault. That's who she's always been, and he knew it. He'd known it since 2002. He just convinced himself that maybe this time, 20 years later, he could handle it. But by February 2024, when the documentary aired, it was obvious he couldn't. Fans flooded social media saying Ben looked trapped, miserable, like he was living someone else's dream. 2 months later, they separated. Jennifer filed for divorce on their anniversary, August 20th, 2024. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. By January 2025, it was finalized. Then came March 2025, the GQ interview. No gossip, no scandal, no villain. Just a man admitting he tried, failed, and realized love alone isn't enough. That's what makes this story so devastating. Jennifer Lopez didn't change. Ben Affleck didn't cheat. Nobody lied. They just loved each other in completely incompatible ways. Ben's metaphor says it best: you don't marry a ship captain and then say you hate the ocean. He knew who Jennifer was. He thought he could handle it. He was wrong. And maybe that's why he still calls it embarrassing, not because of what she did, but because of what he refused to see. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing twice and expecting a different result. Ben Affleck did exactly that. And when it failed again, it wasn't because she changed, it's because he hadn't. Now, almost a year later, both Ben and Jennifer are moving on. Ben's been quiet, working, staying out of the spotlight. Jennifer, as always, is channeling the pain into her art. And maybe that's the real difference between them. He hides from the spotlight. She lives in it. In the end, the truth Ben Affleck finally revealed is simple. You can love someone with everything you have and still be completely wrong for them. You can try again and end up in the same place. Sometimes the person you love most is exactly who they've always been. You're just the one who refused to see it clearly. Jennifer Lopez wasn't who Ben thought she was. She was exactly who she's always been. And Ben Affleck wasn't the man he thought he could be. That's what really ended their marriage. Do you think Ben has finally learned his lesson, or will we see Bennifer 3.0 in another 20 years? Drop your thoughts below.